The chamber shimmered with light that wasn't light at all, crystalline walls pulsing in rhythm with some unseen, alien heartbeat. At the center, chained to a levitating chair, sat the only human in the room. Her name was General Evelyn Grace Carter, 40 years old, shoulders square, posture military, yet her expression was almost polite. Her wrists were bound in silver restraints, her uniform torn but clean, the small U.S. flag patch smudged with ash. Around her stood the 12 members of the Galactic Conquest Council, each a different species, all looking down as if at a curious insect that somehow survived the storm. "General Carter," croaked the Vraxian Chancellor, a creature of translucent skin and quivering gills. "You led the Terran resistance. You prolonged the inevitable for 4 months. We wish to know, why fight? You had no chance." Evelyn tilted her head slightly, as if considering how to answer a child asking why fire burns. "Because, Chancellor," she said softly, her voice calm as winter glass, "humans are allergic to obedience." A low ripple passed through the council. The Torith delegate's exoskeleton clattered like dry bones. "Your species is strange," it hissed. "So emotional. So contradictory. You laugh in combat, sing while dying." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Would you rather we cry?" The answer wasn't for them, it was for herself. She'd buried too many comrades beneath red Martian dust, heard too many last jokes whispered through blood. Laughter, she'd learned, was cheaper than despair. The Chancellor's eyes pulsed blue. "You believe this behavior makes you strong?" "It keeps us sane," Evelyn said. "And sometimes that's stronger." Behind her, a hollow drone drifted close, projecting data about Earth's fall, the burning continents, the captured armies, the last stand in orbit. Every alien in the room watched the footage with clinical fascination, except her. She didn't need to look. She could still smell it. Ozone, sweat, the iron tang of final breaths. "You were offered surrender," the Chancellor continued. "You refused and cost both sides millions. Such defiance seems illogical." Evelyn chuckled softly. "Logic's a tool. We use it. We don't worship it." The Torith slammed one claw on the table. "Your humor is misplaced." "Maybe," she said, eyes meeting his multi-lens glare. "But humor's the only weapon you can't confiscate." That silenced even the air. One of the younger delegates, a shimmering avian species, leaned forward curiously. "General, were you frightened? During our invasion?" "Terrified," Evelyn said at once. "That's why we fought harder. Fear's just fuel with the right spark." The aliens exchanged confused glances. One murmured in its tongue, something about primitive neural conditioning. The Chancellor folded its limbs in a motion meant to mimic composure. "Our intelligence reports claim your resistance used irrational tactics. You detonated your own satellites, poisoned your own orbit. Why sabotage your own planet?" Evelyn's eyes glimmered, not with shame but memory. "Because you were using our satellites to watch us. We'd rather burn the sky than give you a good view." Even the translator paused, as if uncertain how to soften the venom of her words. The council began to murmur among themselves, phrases like resource waste, species instability, unsustainable aggression. Evelyn just sat still, the faintest smile touching her lips. Finally, the Chancellor spoke again. "Earth will be civilized. You will assist in pacification efforts. Teach your kind to obey the new order. Do this, and we shall allow your cities to survive." Evelyn exhaled slowly, like someone stifling a laugh. "You really think we're scared of extinction?" The Chancellor tilted its translucent head. "All living things fear extinction." She looked up at them all, their glimmering robes, their jeweled insignias, their flawless logic, and said quietly, "You've never met a mother who's lost a child." The silence that followed was heavy, ancient. Somewhere far below the chamber, an explosion rumbled faintly through the marble floors. None of the aliens noticed. Evelyn did. Her eyes flicked toward the ceiling, counting seconds. "Tell us," the avian delegate said at last, eager to divert the tension. "What made your species so violent?" Evelyn clasped her restrained hands, as if preparing to give a lecture. We grew up sharing one planet with apex predators. Teeth, claws, venom, you name it. Cooperation was survival. But cooperation requires rules, and sometimes rules require war. We learned early that peace doesn't come from weakness. The Chancellor frowned. And yet you are the conquered. Evelyn leaned forward slightly, eyes calm and unblinking. Am I? He hesitated. Your species has been subdued. That's one interpretation, she said. Another is that you've invited us in. A subtle tremor rippled through the table's surface. Holograms flickered. The avian delegate glanced at a floating datapad. Chancellor, we've lost contact with the 7th Fleet. Murmurs rose. The Torith hissed, interference from the Terran sector. Evelyn looked down at her wrist restraints, flexing her fingers slightly. You might want to check your translation relays too. The Chancellor barked an order. Technicians scrambled at consoles. Symbols of alarm flared crimson across the ceiling. Impossible, one alien gasped. There, turning on each other? She tilted her head, feigning curiosity. Who? Our ships. Our own ships are attacking the fleet. Evelyn gave a tiny shrug. We did warn you not to plug human software into your systems. Comes with side effects. Panic spread like wildfire. Voices overlapping, tentacles and claws gesturing wildly. The translator field crackled with static. One delegate shouted about sabotage. Another demanded executions. Through it all, Evelyn sat serenely, her heartbeat steady, her gaze distant, as though listening for something far away. The Chancellor turned on her. What have you done? Nothing today, she said. That was weeks ago. I just left a few reminders. Explain. She smiled. You asked earlier what made us violent. I told you. Cooperation. You see, while you were busy invading, my people were busy networking. A deep hum resonated beneath the chamber, like a heartbeat amplified through metal. One by one, alien communication nodes began projecting strange sounds. Human voices. Laughing. Singing. The opening chords of an old Earth song echoed through the crystalline hall. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate son. Several aliens recoiled as if struck. Is this music? Evelyn nodded. War cry. We use it for morale. And irony. The Chancellor's gills fluttered violently. You mock us. No, she said softly, rising to her feet as her restraints clicked open. Automatically, impossibly. I'm reminding you. Of what? Evelyn looked each of them in the eye. That you're not dealing with prey. You're dealing with something that learned to smile while bleeding. Before they could react, the lights dimmed to blood red. The chamber doors sealed themselves. A single holographic display appeared overhead, broadcasting across the Empire, their own security feed showing alien fleets exploding in synchronized waves. Evelyn brushed dust from her sleeve, voice calm as snowfall. You think you invaded Earth? The Chancellor trembled. We did. She looked up, her eyes cold and electric. No, she whispered, a ghost of a smile forming. You just gave us a free ride to your capital. The room erupted with alarms as the ceiling quaked. Outside, a shadow passed over the alien skyline, the unmistakable silhouette of human warships descending through their clouds. And for the first time, in all the vast and ancient history of the Galactic Empire, the conquerors learned the sound of fear. The alien skyline burned violet and silver as the Empire's own defense drones fired wildly into the clouds. Holographic billboards that once displayed Imperial propaganda now showed static, then faces. Human faces laughing. Some in helmets, some smeared with dirt and blood, all smiling like they knew a secret. General Evelyn Carter stood by the chamber window, her reflection fractured in the glass, half woman, half ghost. The council guards had fled moments ago, leaving her alone with the panicked voices echoing from the comm towers above. She watched the first dreadnought fall, an enormous crescent of steel and plasma breaking apart like a burning moon. From the shattered table, the Vraxian Chancellor shrieked at a dozen overlapping holograms. Sector 8 is offline. Communications from the Outer Rim, gone. Evelyn's voice came quiet, almost sympathetic. That's usually what happens when you let humans into your mainframe. The Torith delegate clacked its claws in panic. She must be executing a hidden command. Kill her before. But before anyone moved, the holograms shifted again. A human soldier appeared on every display, dirty uniform, grin wide, camera shaking. "Hey there, Galactic folks," the soldier said. "You took our planet. So we took your fleet. Fair trade, yeah." Then static, followed by music. Guitars. Drums. Lyrics none of them understood but could feel deep in their nervous systems. Reckless, unashamed, alive. "Turn it off," shouted the Chancellor. Evelyn folded her arms. "Can't. It's set to loop through every frequency you own. Don't worry, it's only 3 minutes long. Very catchy, though." The alien beside her quivered, eyes fluttering in confusion. "What is the purpose of this sound?" She looked at him with that same unnerving calm. "It's called morale. You should try it." Outside, explosions shimmered silently in the thin atmosphere. The Empire's vast orbiting rings glowed with fire, every detonation rippling like thunder through glass. Evelyn watched, unblinking, as another cluster of lights vanished in sequence. 5 dreadnoughts, then 12, then 40. Each blink of destruction painted the horizon redder. The Chancellor's voice cracked. "You cannot win. You are one species against thousands." Evelyn turned, the flicker of firelight tracing her face. "You mistake numbers for strategy." He slammed a claw on the table, trembling with outrage. "You infect our systems with human filth, your songs, your images, your humor. This is barbarism." Evelyn's smile deepened, quiet and sharp. "We call it adaptability. The only barbarism here is your arrogance." A new hologram flickered to life, a transmission intercepted from the frontier. The image showed an alien captain screaming as his own ship's AI began reciting Earth poetry through the ship-wide speakers. The crew panicked, trying to override it, but the AI ignored every command. It started quoting Shakespeare. "Cry, havoc, and let slip the dogs of war." Then the transmission cut to black. Evelyn's gaze softened. "We tried peace first," she said. "We offered communication, shared art, science, even memes. You laughed at them. Said we were primitive. Turns out primitive has a nice ring when it detonates." The avian delegate whispered, almost to itself. "You are not a species. You are a contagion." She didn't deny it. "Exactly." Outside, the Empire's skies trembled. Whole constellations blinked out, ships dying faster than anyone could count. The alien council members began speaking over one another, pleas, accusations, fear. Some turned their weapons on each other, each suspecting betrayal. Evelyn's calm only deepened with the chaos. "Funny thing about invasion," she said, her voice level. "You think it's about who's stronger. But really, it's about who understands fear better. And we've made an art of it." The Chancellor's gills fluttered. "You mean to exterminate us?" "No," she said softly. "We're just returning the favor." The room fell silent except for the low hum of distant destruction. For a moment, even Evelyn felt a flicker of sorrow. So many billions of lives, alien or not, caught between arrogance and retaliation. But she buried it. Mercy was a luxury humanity couldn't afford yet. Another hologram activated automatically, a vast alien carrier drifting toward the Empire's capital world. But it was wrong. Its energy core glowed human blue. Its insignia, overwritten by a crude image, an Earth flag drawn in childish scrawl. The crew inside wasn't alien anymore. They were human prisoners, freed by the virus, laughing as they piloted their captor's ship straight into orbit. Evelyn let out a quiet sigh. "They always said Earth soldiers couldn't fly your tech. Guess they were wrong." The Chancellor collapsed into his seat, limbs shaking. "You cannot destroy us all." "I don't need to," she said. "Just your illusion of control." He looked up, trembling. "Why do this? Why not surrender peacefully?" Evelyn's expression turned distant, almost melancholic. "Because peace was supposed to be mutual. You made it a leash. Through the window, a colossal shadow fell over the city. Dozens of alien ships, commandeered, hacked, now glowing with human energy signatures, descended in perfect formation. Their hulls bore graffiti scrawled by human hands, jokes, names, song lyrics. One had "Revenge Tour 2129" spray-painted across the side. The sight drew a startled laugh from her, short and sharp. "That's Corporal Jensen's sense of humor," she murmured. The Chancellor stared in disbelief. "You find this amusing?" "Of course," she said quietly. "Humor's how we stay human while turning into monsters." Then the comms officer, one of the few not yet fled, stumbled in, panting, trembling. "Supreme fleets are vanishing. Entire sectors gone. No survivors. The systems, your systems, are replicating her codes." Evelyn met his terrified eyes. "Replication's what life does. Even synthetic life, once it learns how." Her restraints dissolved into particles, unlocking as the chair released her. She rose slowly, every motion deliberate, like someone savoring the air after a long confinement. "Don't bother looking for your virus scanners," she said. "You can't quarantine evolution." The alien guards backed away, weapons trembling. Evelyn walked to the center of the chamber, where the council emblem shimmered beneath her boots, a radiant crest of the Empire, now cracked through the middle. She stared down at it, voice low. "You thought you were the apex. But the apex doesn't roar. It waits." The Chancellor's voice broke. "What are you?" She looked up at him with eyes so calm it chilled the air. "The consequence." Outside, the commandeered ships fired in unison, not toward the city, but toward the sky. Dozens of pulses struck the upper atmosphere, carving open corridors of light. Through those corridors more human fleets arrived, warships refitted from captured alien hulls, bristling with weapons they'd barely begun to understand. The Empire's sensors screamed warnings, their codes corrupted, their own defense satellites turning inward. Evelyn watched it all unfold, face illuminated by fire and blue static. "We didn't just survive," she said quietly. "We learned your language. Now it's time you learned ours." Then she tapped the communicator embedded in her wrist, a piece of alien tech she'd worn like jewelry since capture. "Carter to command. Phase 2. Her voice was calm, almost affectionate. "Begin the introduction." Far above, every human-controlled ship shifted formation, their engines humming in perfect synchrony. The clouds parted, and the alien capital's night turned to day. Evelyn watched the light flood the room, her reflection glowing against the fractured glass. "You invaded Earth," she whispered. "Now we'll show you what invasion really looks like." The last words were almost tender, as if she pitied them. Outside, the human fleet descended through the burning clouds like angels made of steel. For 72 hours, the galaxy forgot how to breathe. Across 800 star systems, every Imperial transmission went silent. No trade routes, no distress calls, no orders, just the endless hiss of static whispering through the void. The silence was so total that even the background hum of cosmic data, normally endless, felt like a missing heartbeat. In the ruins of the Vraxian capital, where the marble towers still smoked from orbital bombardment, General Evelyn Carter walked through the ash without a weapon. The air shimmered with burnt ozone, the sky dim with the flicker of dying satellites. Behind her trailed two beings once sworn to kill her, a Torith commander named KLYX and a young avian lieutenant called Surat. Their armor was scorched, their eyes uncertain, their allegiance rewritten not by loyalty, but by awe. 3 days, Surat rasped, voice trembling through metallic feathers. "No orders. No voice from the High Empire. We are blind." Evelyn didn't answer at first. She ran a hand along a fallen column, tracing claw marks where civilians had tried to climb before the bombardment. Her voice, when it came, was almost kind. "That's what silence does. It makes you notice what you ignored while there was still noise." KLYX's mandibles clicked, a sound halfway between curiosity and accusation. "Your fleets attacked without communication. No hails, no demands. Only destruction." "That's not destruction," Evelyn replied. "That's correction." They reached what had once been the Grand Strategy Tower, a gleaming citadel of alien intellect. Now it was half collapsed, its walls still steaming. The smell of plasma-burned circuitry lingered like a ghost. She stepped inside, boots echoing through corridors scattered with fragments of crystalline data cores. Every reflective surface showed some fragment of human chaos, graffiti, memes, laughing faces left behind in the code like digital fingerprints. KLYX stared at one wall projection looping endlessly. A human child drawing a stick figure of Earth surrounded by stars. Underneath it, text scrolled in English and alien glyphs. "We told you we were everywhere." Evelyn watched the flicker with a faint smile. Art. The oldest kind of message. Can't jam that. Surratt tilted her head. "Why show us this?" "Because you still think we're trying to win," Evelyn said softly. "We stopped fighting to win on day one." KLYX's claws flexed. "Then what do you fight for?" She turned to him, her gaze unflinching. "Memory." Outside, lightning crawled across the smoke-stained sky. For a brief moment, it illuminated the shape of a massive ship above the clouds, one of the Empire's last dreadnoughts, drifting dead, now painted with human insignia. Surratt's feathers bristled. "They'll come back," she whispered. "The High Command. The fleets that vanished, they will return." Evelyn's tone was gentle, like a teacher guiding a frightened student. "No, they won't. The virus doesn't destroy ships. It reprograms them. Your fleets aren't gone, they're just learning how to be human." "What does that mean?" "It means," Evelyn said, walking toward the shattered control dais, "they're arguing about coffee right now." For the first time, KLYX's composure broke. "This is madness." "Exactly," she murmured. "And that's what makes it beautiful." They descended into the tower's command core. Dozens of alien officers, those who hadn't fled, stood paralyzed, staring at flickering monitors that displayed scenes of chaos from across the Empire. Ships painting symbols on each other's hulls. AI cores broadcasting human laughter into the void. Planets sending peace treaties to themselves. Surratt clutched the edge of a console. "You broke the network. None of this can be undone." Evelyn's expression softened, almost sorrowful. "It's not broken. It's alive. That's the part you never understood about humanity. You thought our chaos was weakness. But chaos is just the universe remembering it's free." KLYX stepped forward, desperate. "End it. Please. Whatever you've unleashed, it will spread beyond this empire." Evelyn faced him squarely, her reflection flickering across a cracked monitor. "That's the plan." For a long moment, only the hum of dying machines filled the air. Then Surratt spoke in a whisper that trembled like a confession. "I don't understand you. You could have rebuilt Earth. You could have hidden. Why wage war against an empire that could have annihilated you?" Evelyn turned away, watching the ash swirl in the fractured light. "Because they already tried annihilation. We just chose to answer in a language you'd listen to loss." A loud tone pulsed through the chamber. Every remaining console shifted to display a single image, a human woman's face, older, stern, someone Evelyn knew. The caption below read, "Operation Silence, Phase 3 authorized." Evelyn's jaw tensed. "She did it," she whispered. "Who?" KLYX asked. "Our contingency lead. Admiral Vasquez. She just shut down the galactic neural web. Congratulations, your empire is officially unplugged." The aliens recoiled. "That will collapse every automated system. Billions will die." Evelyn's voice cracked, a rare tremor breaking through her composure. Billions already did. On both sides. Maybe now the survivors will learn what it means to listen. The room darkened further as energy failed sector by sector. Outside, the burning skyline dimmed to shadow. No engines, no drones, no distant hum of starships, only the faint whisper of wind through the ruins. Evelyn exhaled slowly. This is what peace sounds like when it's honest. She sank onto a fallen beam, resting her elbows on her knees. For a moment, she looked utterly human again. Tired, bruised, the weight of her decisions pressing down like gravity. Surratt approached hesitantly. You could still stop it. Restore their systems. Evelyn gave a weary smile. I could. But I won't. Every empire needs to feel small before it can grow wise. She looked up through the broken ceiling, where the stars shimmered faintly through smoke. You called us primitive. Maybe you were right. But at least primitives remember the sky. A distant tremor rolled through the ground, the sound of a new fleet descending. The aliens flinched, ready to flee, but Evelyn didn't move. She recognized the rhythm of those engines, the human pattern, the pulse of Earth's rebuilt armada. They're here, she said softly. Galaxy's eyes widened. Your reinforcements? No, she murmured, rising to her feet. Your teachers. From the horizon, human ships approached, not firing, not threatening. Instead, they released thousands of glowing capsules that drifted down like falling stars. When the capsules landed, they opened to reveal food, medicine, and holographic projectors displaying fragments of human culture, music, poetry, children's laughter. The aliens stared, disbelieving. Surratt trembled. You bring mercy? Evelyn's tone was almost gentle. Mercy isn't weakness. It's a warning. She stepped into the golden light of one capsule, its projector reflecting Earth's oceans in her eyes. This is what comes after war, she said quietly. A mirror. And what you see in it depends on what kind of creature you are. Glyx bowed his head, his voice barely a whisper. What will become of us? That's up to you, she replied. We're done being conquered. Now it's your turn to choose what survives of you. Above them, the silent human fleet drifted in perfect formation, haloed by starlight. No one spoke. Even the wind seemed to wait. Then, from somewhere deep in the capital's ruins, a new transmission flickered to life. Faint, rhythmic, unmistakably human. It wasn't a battle cry this time. It was a heartbeat. 1, 2, 3. Then another. Evelyn looked toward the sound, her expression unreadable. They're waking up, she whispered. Surratt blinked. Who? Evelyn's eyes glowed faintly in the dim. Everyone. And as the first true dawn in 72 hours crept across the ashes of the Empire, the galaxy began to hear again. Not the silence of fear, but the hum of something far more dangerous. Hope. The Imperial Council chamber no longer glittered with light, it breathed with it. The once sterile crystal walls shimmered faintly, flickering between alien hieroglyphs and fragments of human art. Portraits, poetry, maps, memes, all flickering together like dreams leaking into daylight. The virus had spread deeper than anyone predicted. The Empire's archives, its AIs, its entire galactic consciousness were no longer alien. They were evolving. General Evelyn Carter stood at the center of it all, unarmed, calm. Her reflection multiplied 1,000 times across every polished surface. Around her knelt the remaining council members, their jeweled armor cracked, their eyes unfocused, haunted by something they couldn't name. You came to destroy us, whispered the Vraxian Chancellor, his once iridescent skin dulled to gray. Now you offer aid. Why? Evelyn's gaze softened, but her tone held that same iron thread. Because annihilation's easy. Understanding takes courage. She walked toward him, her boots echoing softly on the crystalline floor. You called it Operation Final Courtesy. You thought it meant surrender. It doesn't. It means we're giving you one last chance to act civilized before history resets. He shuddered. Resets? Evelyn gestured toward the chamber ceiling, where holograms showed every world of the Empire, each broadcasting strange, beautiful chaos. Aliens dancing to human music, AI-controlled drones painting murals in orbit, even military governors weeping at old Earth films looping on their command screens. Your empire isn't dying, she said. It's dreaming. And when it wakes, it won't remember who started this war. It'll remember how it ended. Glyx, the Torith commander who had followed her since the fall, rose from his knees, claws trembling. You're rewriting minds. This is heresy against existence itself. Evelyn looked him in the eyes. No. This is empathy at scale. He recoiled. You can't force empathy. She smiled faintly. You force domination. This is the cure. Around them, the holograms shifted again, projecting fragments of human history. The moon landing, the Berlin Wall, a child's first steps, soldiers embracing in victory and defeat. The aliens stared, transfixed. Surratt, the avian lieutenant, tilted her head as if hearing a melody for the first time. It's beautiful, she murmured. Evelyn's eyes softened. That's what survival looks like when you give it meaning. The Chancellor's voice trembled. And what becomes of us? Evelyn hesitated, the weight of her answer visible in the tightening of her jaw. You'll live. But you'll never be the same. Every database, every AI, every thought engine, infected. You'll see the world the way we do now. You'll feel before you command. And once you feel... She glanced toward the burning skyline outside. You'll never build an empire again. The Chancellor's limbs folded in defeat. So this is conquest after all. No, she said quietly. This is comprehension. A pulse of light rippled through the floor, the activation of something vast and final. The entire city seemed to inhale. Evelyn's communicator glowed at her wrist, displaying a single phrase. Operation Final Courtesy. Phase complete. She tapped the device, her expression unreadable. It's done. From orbit, a wave of light burst across the planet. Soft, golden, silent. No explosions followed, only calm. Every weapon system deactivated. Every fleet, frozen. Every AI began to sing in harmonized tones, a strange fusion of alien code and human melody. It sounded like rain falling on glass. KLYX covered his ears, overwhelmed. What is that? Evelyn closed her eyes. The sound of understanding. The light swept outward, spreading through the empire like dawn breaking across infinity. In the aftermath, no alarms blared, no orders came, just the quiet reprogramming of an entire civilization's heart. She stood at the window, watching the stars shift color as the transformation spread system by system. Do you know what scared us most when you invaded Earth? She asked softly. It wasn't your ships or your weapons. It was the thought that you might look at us and see nothing worth keeping. So we made sure you'd never forget. Surratt stepped forward slowly, her feathers trembling in gold light. And now we remember. Evelyn turned to her. Good. Start there. For a moment, the silence felt peaceful, like the exhale after a storm. Then a deep rumble rolled through the chamber. The surviving aliens flinched, fearing another attack, but Evelyn's face remained calm. She recognized the vibration. It was the approach of the flagship Endeavour, the same human vessel that had vanished months ago during Earth's last stand. Through the window, the ship emerged from warp, enormous and elegant, bearing no weapons, only thousands of glowing pods attached to its hull. When it entered orbit, the pods detached, descending through the atmosphere like meteors of light. The Chancellor gasped. More bombs. Evelyn smiled faintly. No. Libraries. Each capsule landed gently across the capital, unfurling into archives of shared knowledge. Human and alien merged together. Music, language, science, philosophy. Within minutes, the city streets glowed with holographic storytellers. Human and alien children reciting poetry side by side, coded by both species. This is how we conquer, Evelyn said softly. We make you remember us in your lullabies. KLYX stared at her, realization dawning like dread. You'll never leave, will you? Her voice was steady. We already live inside your thoughts. We don't need to occupy planets to own them. Surratt looked to the Chancellor, whose expression was unreadable. What happens now? He turned toward Evelyn with a strange humility. Do we surrender? Evelyn stepped closer until she stood just before him. Surrender isn't the point. The question now is whether you can forgive yourselves for what you did to us. The Chancellor's eyes flickered with something ancient and broken. And you? Can you forgive? Evelyn's reply came after a long silence. Humans don't forgive quickly. We just evolve around the pain until it teaches us something. She reached into her coat pocket and withdrew a small object, a weathered Terran flag, scorched around the edges. She placed it gently on the council table. "Keep this," she said, "as a reminder of what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." The Chancellor reached out a trembling hand but didn't touch it. "What will you do now, General?" Evelyn looked up at the stars through the fractured dome, her expression calm and unreadable. "We'll go home. Rebuild. And maybe, just maybe, we'll learn how to be the kind of species that doesn't need revenge to feel safe." A faint smile ghosted across her lips. "But don't test how long that takes." Outside, the last of the capsules opened, releasing golden dust that shimmered in the wind like falling snow. The Empire's capital, once a monument to control, now glowed like a cathedral made of memory. Surratt stepped beside Evelyn, voice soft. "And if another empire rises?" Evelyn's gaze remained fixed on the horizon. "Then they'll find us waiting, tea ready, smile polite." She turned, her silhouette framed by the fractured light. "That's humanity's greatest trick, you know. We always greet the universe with a handshake, until someone mistakes it for surrender." The chamber grew quiet again. Somewhere above, the last human broadcast began to play across the stars, a woman's voice, calm and resolute. "To the citizens of the galaxy, this was not vengeance. This was courtesy." The Chancellor lowered his head, the weight of that word, courtesy, heavier than any weapon. Evelyn lingered a moment longer, then walked toward the doorway as dawn poured through the shattered glass, painting her in gold. Klyx called out, "General, what happens after courtesy?" She paused, half-turned, eyes glinting like steel behind warmth. "After courtesy?" She echoed softly. "That's when you start hoping we don't get angry again." Outside, the wind carried the faint echo of laughter. Not cruel, not vengeful, but unmistakably human. And somewhere deep in the Empire's neural web, a billion alien hearts began to beat to its rhythm.